Welcome to Lead Up, a Leadership Gwinnett podcast dedicating to showcasing initiatives that truly impact our community and the fantastic leaders behind them. I'm Logan Serrano, your host, Director of Marketing and Communications with Leadership Gwinnett. And today I have joining me Rachael Warnsley, the Gwinnett Police Department's Outreach Manager for the Community Affairs Section and Leadership Gwinnett graduate class of 2018, and Major Michelle Anglin with the Gwinnett PD and 2020 graduate of Glance Gwinnett. Welcome, ladies.
How are you? Good morning.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited because we have the opportunity today to talk with these amazing women and spotlight the work that they're doing within our police department and our community. So the Community Affairs section was created in 2020 to help strengthen a positive relationship with the community and the police department. Major Anglin, can you tell us a little bit more about why the Community Affairs section was created?
Again, the Community Affairs section was created October 2020. Gwinnett County Police Department has always been committed to fostering positive relationships and trust with their communities. However, in creating the Community Affairs section, it was created to expand on the department's longstanding commitment to the community through more intentional engagements, which will occur more than once. That will foster police community communications, interactions, transparency, and mutual respect.
Awesome. That's really great. So can you tell us a little bit about the initiatives and the activities that the Community Affairs section will do or have done?
Yes, well, let me first start with our outreach programs, the Citizens Police Academy. That is designed to educate our citizens of Gwinnett County about the police department and how the officers conduct their job. Also to develop the group of responsible, well-informed citizens. We also have another initiative that we participate. It's the National Faith in Blue Weekend, which is this year, October the 8th through the 10th. It was launched to facilitate safe and strong, more unified communities through partnerships among law enforcement professionals, residents, and businesses with the connection of local faith-based entities. We also participate in the National Drug Take Back. That is going to occur on October the 23rd this year. It aims to provide a safe, convenient, and responsible means of disposing of prescription drugs while also educating the general public about the potential abuse of medications.
Great.
And do you want to add anything, Rachael?
We would love to host our middle and high school students in our Youth Police Academy. They really get to come behind the scenes and see what it is to be an officer. They get to experience, go through jail. We're not trying to scare straight them at all, but they definitely get to experience that. But in addition to some of the main programs that we have, I'm just into the position about 2 months, and I was just overwhelmed and blown away by, 25 programs, 25 free programs that we offer to Gwinnett residents. I was doing some research, and a lot of communities have to pay for these services. Like, we'll come out to your home or your business and do like a security check, make sure that if you're able to have cameras up, a lot of different things that we offer to the community.
That's awesome. And y'all have been so great working with Leadership Gwinnett. We always come out and you guys showcase the cool stuff you're doing at the training academy. Y'all take us through the jail. It's really great stuff that you have going on, and you truly are great supporters of the community. So you guys have talked a bit about some ways that people can get involved and great free ways that we can get involved. But is there anything else that we can tell the community at large on how they can support the police department better?
And I would say, my job, and I came in as the outreach manager. So really wanting to connect residents in the community to, hey, we need you to be ambassadors. If you feel positively about what we're doing here as police in Gwinnett County. We can't speak about what's happening across the country. How is your relationship with your local police department? Are you connected with your local precincts? Gwinnett County PD, we have 6 precincts across Gwinnett County. And we serve, like when you call 911, you're calling Gwinnett PD. And whether if you're in Snellville or Suwanee that have their own police, their own police services, we are directing those calls to them, but it comes to us. So we definitely want our residents to be ambassadors. Hey, on the flip side, if you see that there are some issues that in your specific community, don't be shy. Please reach out to any of us and we'll be there. We'll sit down. We want to work with you, hand in hand to come up with solutions.
Awesome.
We don't know it all. Police know they don't know it all.
Right.
And
We're doing
let me
this together.
Yes.
Just piggybacking off of Rachel, also those community leaders and other individuals in our community, not necessarily if you live here, you may have a business here. Get to know the district where you live, where you work, and introduce yourself to those precinct commanders. Again, we have 6 precincts. Each precinct is commanded by a major for that precinct. Get to know that precinct major and communicate with them.
Awesome.
And let them get to know you.
What fantastic work that you both are doing to achieve such a commendable goal. And part of the Lead Up podcast is to really spotlight the leaders behind community initiatives. And especially on today's episode, we are focusing on women and leadership. So I want to shift the focus now and get a little bit more personal. Major Michelle, can you tell us about a situation on the job that really impacted you?
Well, Logan, let me say I've been doing this work for over 18 and a half years. And there are many, many situations that have impacted me through those years. Some that would make you laugh and some that would make you cry. But let me tell you one that just recently occurred. In July, we hosted the Youth Police Academy. And that is a 2-week program. We have 1 week with middle school students and a 2nd week with high school students. And it's only for 1 week. They come in and they get to learn about the department and they get to interact with the police officers all week. Well, again, that's only 1 week for each group. And at the end of the week, they told us they didn't want to leave.
Oh,
They were like, does this really have to end?
that's awesome.
They enjoyed getting to know us as people.
Yeah.
And many times we interact with the public. They see us at work in a uniform and they don't really get to know that we are just people just like them.
Right.
So when they said that, they were like, does it really have to end? Can we come back next week? Can we do this again next year? And many of them have enrolled in our Explorer program, which is another youth program that we offer here at the county. That was very impactful, especially with everything that has been going on with police in the community.
Right.
So I would say that was something that really warmed my heart.
Love it.
And they really enjoyed being with us
Yeah.
for those 2 weeks.
That's awesome. That's how you really know you've done a good job. I just love hearing stories about that. Well, thank you. One more question for you. What is a common myth about your job? Can you share one of those with us?
All righty. So again, there are many myths, but I'm going to keep it simple and say that many people just think police arrest people and that's all we do. And no, we do so much more than that. Do we do that? Yes, it is part of the job. However, we do so much with the community. Not only that, through answering those calls for service, we do so much more than just handle the call that we were called there for. There's been many instances where myself or colleagues of mine throughout the year, listen, we've bought groceries for individuals. We've bought breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There are many things that we see as police officers that many people won't ever see in a lifetime.
Yeah.
There are times our officers get called and a family, a mom, children at a hotel don't have any money to stay there. Officers have gone into their own pockets and paid for a night, a week. There are many times, again, we have been to a home to handle a situation and we're buying lunch or dinner for the family or for the kids. There are kids that have bicycles, but they don't have helmets. So police officers have purchased those. Listen, there have been times where, we've taken care of babies. We fed them a bottle, changed the pamper. Those are all things that you don't necessarily see that we do on a regular basis. Police officers work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Right.
And we do many of those things. And we're talking about police departments across the nation, but you hardly hear about those things. Those are many of the things that we do. And again, police officers are human beings. We're people, just like the people that we're serving in the community. Right. We're moms, we're dads, we're daughters, we're sons, we're aunts, we're uncles, we're cousins, we're friends, we're strangers. And it's just, asking the community, we are people, we are there to help you, and we are there to serve you.
Mm-hmm. And Logan, if I can add on to what Major Anglin was sharing, I came to Gwinnett County PD from serving 5 years with United Way of Greater Atlanta. So talk about need. Like, I know that there are so many needs out there, but also like we hear about our teachers that buy supplies for their students, in their classrooms. That's what the offices are doing. But unfortunately, that's not sustainable. So there are so many organizations out there and so many individuals and corporations that are willing to invest, resources. And I think there is like a disconnect in our community. Like, so many people want to help, but the people that need the resources, they're not getting the information. So I'm excited to be here because of my background with United Way. I can share with the officers about, well, did you know there's a nonprofit, like literally 2 blocks down, because, you may not have those resources. We want our residents to, to thrive every day. We don't want them to just go through and survive every day. We should have a community that's thriving.
All right. Yeah. I love that. That's great. And police officers do so much. I saw that just with my ride along. I mean, they do social work, counseling, mental health advocates. It's just amazing. It's not just going out and arresting people. That is so true. Thank you so much for sharing. Major Anglin, as a female leader, what has been your most significant barrier in your career?
Well, again, I work in a male-dominant profession. So I would have to say that the gender bias that exists in police work and in the profession and in law enforcement as a whole. When I decided to do this job over 18 years ago, I knew that becoming a police officer, I came in knowing that the challenges that awaited me as a woman and embraced them. However, I pushed forward, I worked hard. I enrolled in every training class I could to sharpen my skills and knowledge. And I stayed focused and wasn't afraid to speak up when needed and appropriate. That I learned and I earned the respect and inclusion of my male counterparts. And I am happy to say and proud that I enjoy many close relationships with the male officers that work here in the department. And many of them have been my mentors.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's great. Rachael, we're going to switch over to you. You talked a little bit about how you previously worked with United Way, but what drew you to this position after all those years working with United Way? Can you dive a little bit deeper into that? I thought that was really interesting.
Listen, my leadership Gwinnett experience, class of 2018, really opened my eyes to policing and, of course, many facets of Gwinnett County. I got to learn a lot about Gwinnett County, but what I learned from, like you talked about, Logan, the ride along, we got to go to the training center. We got to see, the folks in the academy, they come in and they get tased. So we don't have the opportunity to get tased. We get to, go in the car and drive with them for like 8 to 12 hour shift. When I think residents get an opportunity to see that, it will blow you away. Now, African-American female, I have a brother. There has not been an African-American male that I know that hasn't been pulled over by the police. And I was one of those people like, oh, if I get pulled over, like, I'd be one of those like, why are you asking me for my ID? I was one of those people until I got exposed to what it is and what's the reason behind it. So now I'm like, oh, please have my ID. Please take my ID. That is fine. I understand it. So it's really eye-opening. I think a lot just has to do with ignorance. And I'm just excited that, I was doing some phenomenal things at United Way. Recently, we just was starting up our racial equity and healing and belonging. And, last summer with the civil unrest, so we were digging really deep into that, but police had a lot to do with that. So when former Chief West asked me to come on and serve with Gwinnett County PD, I obviously had to think about it, talk with my husband. I pray over every decision that I make. But I was like, if you're not there, you can do it from within. You don't want to be somebody that's out here. It's like, for myself as an African-American female, I know that it can be different. I know anytime, listen, I see the news stories and I'm like, oh, that would not happen in Gwinnett, because I learned through Leadership Gwinnett, this is not how our officers are trained. Our officers are trained well beyond, what's mandatory here in Georgia. They are well trained, and leadership, they don't take no mess. If the officers aren't doing what they're supposed to do, it's taken care of. So I feel really confident, and I was excited to join the team.
That's awesome. And we are not paying Rachael for that little tidbit and push for leadership.
Not at all.
Well, that's
Not
awesome.
at
I'm so
all.
glad to hear it. And that is the true power of leadership when it's those connections, opening people's eyes to the great things in this community and even the stuff that could use some work as well. So, Rachael, if you could turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
Trust your gut. Listen, I think as women too, we kind of second guess ourselves, but there has not been a time when it's like, trust that instinct, trust your gut, just in situations as, just moving through society, just even in the business world, trust your gut. It's usually not wrong.
Very true. I totally agree with that. That's great advice. All right. And for both of y'all, what advice would you give to the next generation of female leaders? Major Anglin, do you want to start with you?
Okay. Again, some of the own advice that I gave myself: work and train hard, stay focused. Don't be afraid to speak up, again, when needed and appropriate.
Right.
Never lose confidence in your abilities. Have confidence in your self-worth. That forces you to be seen. They don't have a choice but to look and say, what is going on over there?
Love it. That's awesome.
So that's the advice I would give. And again, they have no choice. The workplace has to be diversified, and they need us. They need us. They need our perspective.
That's the truth. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Rachael, what about you?
To that, I would say have humility. I felt like in my career, had 16 years in the nonprofit field before I came over to government, working with Gwinnett County Police Department. I always felt like I didn't belong. So I'm one of those to kind of tell you, what I've done, but literally have humility about it. Your work will speak for itself. People will recognize it. You don't need to be out there. So I think initially, you guys in Georgia don't know me in this way, but I always felt like I had to, it's like I'm, telling you my resume and my degree and how many years. It's not necessary. And I think that my work has, spoke for itself. Chief West recognized that and asked me to be on the team. I definitely wasn't tooting my horn. I had to really had humility with all of the great leaders that were a part of my class.
Yeah.
I mean, Chief Nick with Gwinnett County Fire Department was a part of my class. I mean, a lot of phenomenal leaders. Judge Tadia Whitner, part of my class. Talking about humbling yourself. Just little me on the totem pole here, helping out with nonprofits. So definitely have humility. Align your passion with your purpose, and you won't feel like you're working a day in your life.
Yes, that is such truth right there. And a great thing about Leadership Gwinnett is we try to strip the titles down, especially in the beginning retreat, as you can probably remember, take away those titles. Let's get in some like comfy clothes, not the suits and the
Right.
ties and the dresses, whatever, and truly get to know people for who they are. So I just love that. Thank you so much for sharing, both of y'all. We are out of time for today. Thank you, Major Anglin and Rachael, for spending the morning with me to educate us in the community about the community affairs section, the wonderful stuff the police department is doing, and sharing a little bit more about yourselves. So thank you for watching, and see you on the next Lead Up.
Thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
Thanks so much. See you out there in the community.